Today we're going to talk about inclusion. Full disclosure, I am not an expert on that topic. All I can really hope for is that steps are being taken to make sure the game is going to be inclusive. But I wanted to make an episode out of this because I felt a sideways pass wouldn't do justice to the importance of the topic. So we'll be discussing aspects of the game that have been described as problematic by the community over the years, and I will tentatively explore solutions based on what's already in the game and what's been done in V5. That's not much, but for anything beyond that, I really must leave the stage to actual experts. It's no secret that many of the tribes in Werewolf the Apocalypse are based on specific cultures or subcultures. Some of them unfortunately paints them in a less than ideal manner. The Get of Fenris, the Wendigo, and the Black Furies are examples that come up pretty much all the time in such discussions. Others, like the Red Talon, the Silver Fang, and the Stargazers, get the cold shoulder for various other reasons, ranging from themes to mechanics to please, please, please do something about pure breed. There are two approaches that might help alleviate these issues. The first is very easy because, well, in fact, it's already in the game. It's simply inconsistently applied in the existing canon. I'm talking about the tribal totems, henceforth referred to as patrons. So here's the inconsistency. After a rite of passage, a new Garu may attempt to plead or petition a particular patron in the hopes of joining the associated tribe. But in the end, no one ever knows who's going to show up to claim them. The books often acknowledge this, saying things like Falcon won't accept this, Pegasus won't accept that. The patrons are a pretty picky bunch. There's even an entire fiction at the beginning of the Get a Fenris tribe book about a Fenrir doubting that he belongs in that tribe. This prompts Fenris himself to show up uber pissed that the werewolf didn't trust in his choice to accept him in his tribe. And here's the important part. Sure, Griffin only accepts Lupus characters, but he doesn't care where they are or who their parents are. Griffin's just as likely to pick a Lupus born from any tribe anywhere in the world, not just one born from a Red Talon, right? As long as that Garu seems like they would be a good addition. Makes sense so far. Yet, the books are filled with septs and entire geographical regions as the domain of specific tribes, as if pretty much all cubs born from a sept end up in the same tribe as everybody else around. Sure, the books mentions that sometimes cubs choose not to go with the tribes of their ancestors, but the assumption is still that the cub would have otherwise joined the same tribe, that the cubs get to choose instead of influencing. And we've just established that's not exactly how it works. So, back to our point. If we embrace that Garu anywhere can be of any tribe as per the whims of the patrons, we're uncoupling them from specific human cultures or regions and tying them instead to a spiritual ideology. All of the patrons already have clearly defined philosophies and values to teach their children. Tie the tribes to those, not geographical locations or bloodlines or any some such. As an added bonus, it makes it a lot easier to build multi-tribal packs because pretty much every sept will now be multi-tribal. But that solution also means losing a lot of the history of the game as we know it. That's why there's an alternative, which is to do as V5 did. Rebranding. Just like the Assamites joined the Cam under the Banu Hakim, the various death-related clans joined together as the Hakada, and the followers of Set sided with the Anarchs as the obviously much better people now ministry. To be honest, I actually believe this is the direction the game is headed in, or at least was headed before the team got restructured. I won't spoil too much, But there are what seems to be hints in the excellent game Heart of the Forest that at least 3 tribes might be getting that treatment. If you wish to know more about what I'm talking about, allow me to shamelessly plug my own streaming channel, whose videos are now all uploaded on YouTube. So you can look for Shadows by Firelight Plays Heart of the Forest. In my first playthrough, around episodes 6, 7, and 8, I talk a lot about this. While we're at it, why not rebrand the tribes that are never played? Or worse, those that most storytellers ban outright. Take the Red Talons, a fantastic tribe with a lot of depth and heart-wrenching themes of loss and obsolescence. One of my favorites, really. But their image has been forever tarnished by the overwhelming notion that they're only about one thing: murdering folks. Of course, a lot of that comes from the art, comics, and most of the page count, which is focused on that. So there are very good reasons for this perception. So maybe it's time for the Talons to leave the nation and truly be all about taking down mankind. Meanwhile, a new, more reasonable offshoot can take their place, one that explores the rest of those wonderful themes of loss and obsolescence that were never given the opportunity to shine. Most of the Garu nation is pretty open-minded about religion. Most of them don't really care about a person's gender or sexuality as long as they're pulling their weight. Philodox, in particular, are known to be open to exploration because they're all about balance and knowing both sides of the coin, any and all coins. Despite this apparent open mindedness and efforts towards inclusivity, there is still work to be done to make Werewolf truly inclusive. There's one aspect often mentioned as making people uncomfortable: the strong insistence to mate and produce offspring. Sure, in game it's done with the intent of breeding more warriors and hopefully save the world. But there are many who are understandably not comfortable with that notion. And that's before we even breach topics with extremely dubious moral implications, such as animal magnetism and viewing some kin as nothing more than breeding stock. It all pushes characters into heteronormative intercourse and giving birth, and there's just no way to make that inclusive. Some people don't want to deal with any of that for perfectly legitimate reasons, and it is not our place to question those reasons. At the same time, I've seen how playing with those concepts can result in extraordinary roleplay. But in those cases, the players wanted to engage with this part of Garo society. They chose to do so. So, frankly, I really don't have a solution to this, except maybe dial it back a notch or 5, and make sure to have good safety rules sections. If you're not familiar with safety rules like veils and lines, I'd recommend taking a look at Jacqueline Brick's excellent body of work or Jacob Burge's recent Session 0 for his Vancouver by Night Chronicle Not a Drop to Drink, where he explains in better words than I exactly what those are. In conclusion, as I said, I'm not an expert, but experts do exist. Hopefully, one will be consulted regarding such matters, because it'd be nice if everyone could enjoy Werewolf equally. Next episode, we're talking about rage. I have what I'm sure will be fairly controversial opinions on that, so you might want to tune in.